Welcome to Cybersecurity Awareness TV, episode number 482, folks, recorded February 6, 2026. Join me, Dr. Mac Jackson Jr., cybersecurity speaker, trainer, and advocate for a safer digital community. Gear up for a thrilling ride, folks, through cybersecurity tips, news, and gain expert knowledge. Become more of a cyber champion. You can subscribe to my channel here on YouTube by going to my YouTube channel, or you can find us on the Roku network, folks, learning digital defenses. You can go to my website at macjacksonjr.com for more information. That's Mac, M-A-C-K, JacksonJR.com for more information. In today's episode, we have three really interesting stories, folks, that should sound the alarms. First one is virtual kidnapping scams targeting parents with real-time AI audio, folks, things that we've warned you about several times on this show. Secondly, we're going over sextortion cases involving minors, how it has arisen a lot now within social media platforms. Third, we're going to talk about online gaming chat rooms and chat platforms that are out there that are increasingly grooming young youths and trying to get them to join organizations and become part of these pedophile groups. So definitely we'll go over that as well, folks. There's a lot of information to cover with you folks in this episode. Please join us here. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages. Hello, folks. This is Mac Jackson Jr. from Vanderson Cyber Group. The problem with businesses today is that they are affected by cyber attacks from around the world, but companies are not sure of what to do. Normally, they are reactive instead of proactive. But folks, cyber attacks can affect your bottom line, and it will affect you financially, legally, and your business reputation. Here at Vanderson Cyber Group, we can help you develop a policy by training your employees on what to do if they are involved in a cyber attack and how to mitigate it and fight against it. Folks, we call it here #StayCyberWoke. And that's Vanderson Cyber Group here in Las Vegas and around the world. You can reach me, folks, at VandersonCyberGroup.com or my website, MacJacksonJr.com as well. Here locally, 702-868-0808. Give us a call today, folks. We must fight back. Hi, folks. Welcome back to Cybersecurity TV. Here on our show, Cybersecurity TV, we are dedicated to help businesses, families, and communities stay ahead of the game, folks, when it comes to cyber threats in our digital world. Today's episodes bring you a collection of very, very powerful cybersecurity stories. Our first one, virtual kidnapping scams targeting parents using real AI audio. How does this happen? Well, folks, if you've been following us over the years, we've talked about a scam that fraudsters use called virtual kidnapping, which represent the emotional manipulation of criminal tactics that faces families today. Unlike traditional kidnapping cases, these criminals involved where kidnappers involve physical abduction. Instead, criminals use fear, urgency, and increasingly advanced artificial intelligence tools to convince parents that their children have been taken and need immediate action is required. How does this happen? Well, folks, it happens very sleek and sophisticatedly using AI-generated voice cloning, impersonating your child, your teenager, or a close family member. During the phone call or even a video call, folks, in many cases, the caller plays an audio of a child crying or screaming or pleading for help. The voice closely resembles your child's voice, folks, and talking to you like you're having a conversation with them. These voice clips often created by public sector social media platforms such as video games, gaming chats, voicemails, your phone voicemails, any type of recording that your child or loved one has stored on the internet. It only takes a few seconds for these new sophisticated AI tools to convince the callers that it is your loved one. Once these calls begin, a second voice often appears right afterwards, claiming that they are the kidnapper. And then the caller is demanding to have to purchase a gift card or some sort of cryptocurrency or transfer a wire of money. If not, they're threatened to harm the actual child. And what law enforcement is saying is, as soon as you get this, folks, please just immediately hang up and contact your loved one right away. Absolutely right away. These scams are designed to overwhelm parents emotionally, and especially grandparents, overwhelm them, and short circuit their critical, rational thinking and force them to make a fast decision that hasn't been thought through. Folks, I want to show you a defense now. With that bad news, I want to show you a defense that I have found on the internet. It was really interesting. This is an AI that is used to scam the scammers, folks. And I'd like you guys to take a look at it and introduce you to AI Daisy versus scammers. Check this out.
Ma'am, if you're aware of that and you don't know how to use the Play Store application, you're going to lose all of your money, ma'am.
Oh dear, that sounds quite alarming. I'm just trying my best here, you know. The spinning circle is still going and I'm worried about my money, but I really don't want to share anything like that. Hello, scammers. I'm your worst nightmare.
There is a new weapon in the fight against phone scammers.
Now, let me introduce you to Daisy here.
Y se llama Daisy.
An artificial intelligence granny.
Para combater estelionatários.
Daisy's job is to play dumb.
She's been designed to annoy the scammers, and she keeps them on the phone for ages and ages.
성 사이트에 접근하도록 유도하지. To waste those scammers' time to make sure they're not targeting someone else.
How clever.
Very clever.
What? The scammers go insane.
It's nearly been an hour! For the love of...
Gosh, how time flies.
The three key components are a speech recognition module, the second one is an LLM module, and the last part is converting that response into a realistic voice, and all three of those need to happen within a few hundred milliseconds. And then we used number seeding to get Daisy's number onto scam call center databases. Then all we had to do was wait for the phone to ring.
It's showing me a picture of my cat, Fluffy.
It's showing you a picture of your cat, Fluffy.
I'm just trying to have a little chat.
Stop calling me dear, you stupid.
Got it, dear.
Okay, dear. Yes, dear.
Holy this is amazing.
Why, folks, isn't that a great video? So why does this matter to you? These scams succeed because the exploit of parents and their natural instinct to protect their loved ones is very, very costly. Fear overrides logic. The realism of AI-generated audio and sometimes video too, folks, makes it extremely difficult to be cautious, to have tech-savvy. If you don't have tech-savvy parents that understand that these types of scams do happen, and they're definitely growing and evolving. Traditional safety advice like trust your gut, or you'll know something when it doesn't feel right. That's no longer reliable anymore. When parents hear the sound like of their child screaming in the background on the phone, and the sound that they know that sounds like their child, they will definitely do whatever it takes to protect their innocent loved one. That's why it's important for all of us to tell someone of the story you heard here today and to protect themselves from this type of situation. These things can lead to all kinds of issues for our families. Financial losses can range from hundreds of thousands of dollars, even no money lost at all sometimes. Just the emotional trauma can also affect individuals. Parents also reported anxiety, guilt, fear, and no longer believe in society and the communications of anymore that can be of good faith on the phones. So we have to do something about this, folks. So let's talk about how we could do this. AI cloning systems analyze short video samples of the voice and pitch. So that's basically how they do it. And they definitely do this here to, they do this in order to get the voice of the individual to make the change. The effectiveness lies in the personalities. A familiar voice removal skepticism is instantly established emotional credibility. So if you're skeptical of it, there's some common things and red flags that you could use when you see these types of calls. Despite the realism, these scams often share common warning signs. For example, extreme urgency combining with a threat telling you do not hang up. Demands for unconventional payment methods like Walmart gift cards, folks, cryptocurrency, anything that can take your funds from you and give it to your scammers or kidnappers without a way that can be traced back to them. Refusing to allow you to speak directly to your child. And press you to act immediately without verification. Callers discouraging contact with law enforcement. So they're telling you don't call law enforcement. These are some things that happen what kidnappers will do over the phone while they have your loved ones. Recognize these patterns can help disrupt the scammer's emotional for momentarily, right? So what can we do? What is our strongest weapon? Folks, their strongest weapon is using urgency to get you to move right away from your financial assets to give to the scammers. What you need to do is to stay calm, collective, and hang up and immediately call your loved one. There's also recommended to have a certain kind of code that you'd use as well, that you'd have with your loved one. And you'd ask them a simple, if you're going to let the kidnappers ask a simple question to your loved one as you're talking with them on the phone. And if you ask them a question, they can't give you the answer back, then you know it's a scam. But the biggest one, folks, is just stay calm. Once this happens to you and you contact your loved one and find out they are safe, contact law enforcement immediately. These scammers and kidnappers, folks, are doing these things. A lot of them are pranksters as well. And that's also very, very bad. This should be reported to law enforcement and have law enforcement go after these villains that we call them here on the show. Folks, it only takes just a little bit of time. Think before we click. Take a deep breath before you take an action, and we can fight back against these types of scammers and fraudsters. We'll be back here with Cybersecurity Awareness TV after these moments.
If you want attention, you need more than an ad. You need a presence. Welcome to WWDBTV, your internet streaming TV station built for business and people. We create high-impact commercials and video podcasts with pro production. Then we help distribute your show where audiences already watch and listen. Your brand, your story. Broadcast ready. On streaming, on social, and beyond. Ready to be seen? Visit WWDBTV.com and book your production today.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to Cybersecurity Awareness TV. In our next story, we're going to examine sextortion cases involving minors and how it's on a rise within social media platforms. Across the country, folks, law enforcement agencies and child advocacy organizations are reporting a sharp increase in sextortion cases involving minors. In these minor criminal cases, predators will manipulate children and teenagers into sharing explicit photographs as well as images to leverage their demand for money, gift cards, and additional content. What makes this trend especially troubling is how quickly and transactionally these types of crimes have escalated across our country and across the world, and how they are actually devastating our young victims. So how does this happen? Many sextortion cases begin very innocent. A minor receives a friend request, direct message, DM, or a game chat from someone who appears to be a peer or attractive teenager. In reality, the profile is often fake and belonging to a criminal operating overseas. In other cases, the attackers gain access to real accounts through password reusability and through database breaches as well, making the interaction seem trustworthy. Once trust is established, conversation moves into the private channels where pressure, flirting, flattering, and other emotional manipulations can be used with our minors. And the moment the images are shared, the tone changes to threats, demands, and fears. Now, this matters to you folks and parents out there as well with your children. Victims frequently experience intense shame, panic, isolation, Many are afraid to report to their parents, teachers, and authorities, believing that they will be faced consequences and their identities will be exploited. This silence, folks, benefits the attackers to prolong the harm. Experts report that sextortion can lead to anxiety, depression, academic decline, and extreme cases, self-harm. The emotional impact can follow victims well into the adulthood, making early intervention critical. So let's discuss some key points to this. How sextortion scams typically begin. Well, we discussed how the manipulation from these attackers are done in a very pleasant, casual conversation that gradually increases to try to get the victim to act in accordingly to the attacker's demands. The attackers are patient, they're methodical in what they do. Why minors are vulnerable? Well, children, folks. Children are innocent. They don't understand the game of the street, as we call it. The games of the street and how bad guys are out there trying to get to them and using kindness as a weakness. The role of platforms play in detecting these responses. Well, some social media companies now are facing increased scrutinies in how their content has been put out on the internet and the reporting tools that they are utilizing. In other words, social media companies are trying to put in extra layers of protection to protect young folks from these types of attacks. While some of these platforms use AI detections to find abusive behaviors, enforcing remains inconsistent, and many harmful interactions occurs from private messagings as well as oversights is very limited. I found another story, folks, for us on the internet I'd like to share with you, coming to us from CBS News. Check this out.
The Justice Department is working to fight a growing number of sextortion cases, which have quintupled over the last 5 years. The investigations involve children and teens being threatened and coerced into sending explicit images online. Now the FBI says the number of these cases against young males is growing dramatically. CBS News Justice correspondent Scott McFarland joins us now. And Scott, you don't hear about things quintupling that often, but safety experts and federal investigators have told CBS News that boys are being increasingly targeted in these types of cases. Why is that?
Yeah, Nancy, this is a uniquely alarming warning. It's the priority of U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, the Department of Justice, and the FBI trying to combat this unlawful transmission of illicit images. It's a problem that's been around a while, but this increase, this spike in sextortion is uniquely alarming. A 500% increase since 2019 in reports of people being extorted after being duped, coaxed, or convinced to share an illicit image. And yes, the criminals are more frequently targeting boys now, with the understanding that they can try to get money from boys more easily because boys are less willing to, or they may be reluctant to report it. They'd be less willing to go to authorities, go to police, but also because they think boys are more prone to be targeted by this crime altogether. This is a distinctive change from the crime in the past.
I know that as part of your reporting, you spoke with the mother of a child who died by suicide after being the victim of sextortion. What did she say to you?
We've seen a series of recent cases, Nancy, where a teenage boy is targeted for sextortion, and within hours of getting that first message, that first warning, he dies by suicide. That was the case for Mary Rohde's son in Potsdam, New York. She explains what happened that day in 2021. What do you think he was thinking after they demanded $3,500?
I think he must have been worried about being embarrassed. That's my best guess on what would drive him to do that. He wasn't really a person who was easily embarrassed.
What do you think he was thinking?
I think certainly Riley was afraid, ashamed. I think he must have been full of self-doubt.
So what do you do about this, Nancy? The experts say, first of all, have a declarative conversation with your sons, with your kids. Tell them they can't be sending images to anybody because this is going down a bad path. But also be aware, it's not just the social media sites where they're connecting with other people. It can be on a gaming app. It can be on one of the programs they use for school. So you have to police even more than you think.
Yeah, be on top of that for those kids. Scott McFarland, thank you very much.
So folks, protection guidance for viewers. Let's talk about this. What parents and caretakers should normalize in conversations with their young ones to avoid these types of online mistakes. Children need to know that coming forward will lead to support, not punishment. In other words, they should be able to communicate. That's the word here, folks. Communication. Teach your minors to block and report suspicious activity immediately and stop engaging in moments that can involve threats. It is critical to preserve evidence, including messages, email addresses, payment demands. All this information should be communicated to family members, adults, parents, and caregivers. Families should immediately report this information to law enforcement agencies, such as an example of this would be the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children, which works closely with investigating and platforming to stop this ongoing exploitation. So folks, sextortion is not a technical problem longer. It is not a technical problem any longer, folks, and it doesn't have to be a problem of loneliness. It is a human problem that interacts psychology. Folks, that's why we call it here on our show, Cybersecurity Awareness TV, and with the branding of my company, Hacking the Human. It's a psychology problem, folks, dealing with trust and digital behavior. Awareness, early conversations, and a rapid reporting remains the most effective defense against online child exploitation. Online gaming, folks, is the next one we will have for you here, and that's our last story we have for you today. We talk about online gaming chats. This is another area that's used by scammers and fraudsters to manipulate our children or manipulate young folks, their innocence. Law enforcement agencies have reported that, and child advocacy groups have also reported that it's been an increasingly alarm rise in child grooming investigations, right? Connected with online gaming platforms, right? You know, the online gaming platforms that your children play in. Absolutely right. When we were younger, that didn't exist, right? We were actually going outside and would ride our bikes for hours and play until the streetlights come on. Now children are in their rooms with their iPads and electronic devices, and the parents have no idea what and who they're talking to. Which once appeared as a harmless entertainment, right, has evolved to a highly social digital environment where voice chats, private messaging, and cross-platform communication is now the norm. These features allow strangers to interact with minors for extended periods of time, folks, without parental awareness. That's the key, without parental awareness. We must change that. Unlike traditional social media, gaming platforms offer similar users a way to play the game, but they're not just playing a game within the actual platform, they actually are socializing. In reality, many games function as a virtual hangout space, right, where they can develop relationships, talk about things in their life, things that are going on, issues they may have, socialize with other people they think that they're in their same age group, perhaps. Predators exploit this with dramatic beliefs that they are fellow players, teammates, or mentors even, gradually building up trust, shifting the conversation to personal topics. Now, this matters to you folks. To children, gaming environments feel familiar, social, and safe. The interaction is framed as teamwork or competition, which lowers the defenses and creates a false sense of security. Many platforms lack consistent moderation, robust identity verification, and real-time monitoring of privacy in these particular chat groups. As a result, inappropriate behaviors can continue to be undetected for several months, sometimes, folks, even a couple of years too, because the teen thinks they're talking to someone that's a friend of theirs, and it turns out not to be a friend. For parents and caregivers, it's a risk that's often misunderstood. Gaming is often perceived as a less risky social media platform, resulting in fewer safeguards and less oversight. This gap creates an opportunity for exploitation and criminal understanding to happen to our youth. So let's discuss some of the key points here. When we think of grooming, grooming rarely happens instantly. It is a gradual process that builds a psychological manipulation, as we call it here, hacking the human. Predators often start friendly conversations, sharing interest in game assistance, perhaps. Over time, they're introduced to personal questions, moving the conversations to a more private chat and normalizing secrecy, folks. So let's talk about some protections. Now we have an idea, we know what's going on here as adults and parents and caregivers. How can we protect our children from this type of manipulation? Parents should disable open chat features wherever possible and restrict private messaging to only approved contacts. In other words, you need to communicate. You need to know exactly all the games that your children play. Now, to bring it back home to you, how we were brought up in my generation, my parents would say, hey, we pay for that phone, we own it, we'll tell you what you should have on it. And that's what you guys should do the same way as well as parents. Many platforms now offer parental controls that are designed to underutilize the simplicity because families are unaware of their existence, right? A lot of parental controls are set up with some of these games. And the parents, you need to find out how these parental controls can be set for your family. Gaming systems should place, gaming system that is, should be placed in a shared household space, not in the privacy of a bedroom with the door closed and locked. Come on, folks. You guys remember growing up. We would never have our bedroom doors closed and locked in our own parents' house, or our parents are paying the mortgage. Wouldn't happen generations ago. We need to react that back, right? Discourage inappropriate interactions with people online. Now, there are a lot of different websites that are out there, and we reported some of those on our show as well, that parents should be warned about, that they should watch their kids, especially their younger ones. Now, we've talked a lot about them, and you can Google and see a lot of them. There's so many that are out there, folks. It's hard to say them all here on our show. But the most important thing, folks, is to let you know that children should be taught to recognize these boundaries. Recognize there is stranger danger, but not just a physical. There's stranger danger online as well, folks. This includes requesting for secrecy, personal private photos, having a private conversation with you offline. Even if they think the person they're talking to is one of their friends, maybe one of their friends from school, it still may be that stranger posing as that friend of theirs. Children should know when not to communicate with these people, and let them know that they won't be punished for this if they speak out. They need to speak out and need to communicate, and punishment is not an option. I'd like to stress this more with another video I found for you, coming to us from a news TV show called WTHR. Check this out.
Well, the case, of course, has brought up a lot of concerns around predators, particularly those that groom children using the internet.
We talk with experts about how other parents can use strategies to keep your kids safer online. So they recommend using online filters. They want you to check security settings, ask your kids about apps that you see on their devices, games, who's online and what they're sharing and saying on these apps.
Also, a big part of this is encouraging your kids to look for any red flags, and experts say they are always there. Often they say these predators will try to gain kids' trust over a long period of time.
They will invest a lot of time to get to know the child because they want to get to know kind of where their vulnerabilities are, what kind of oversight does this kid have at home. They need to know that, is this going to be someone that I can manipulate and get away with it?
Now, for kids, if a chat gets too personal or you feel uncomfortable at all, tell a trusted adult right away. Experts say that's because the danger can happen to anyone.
And don't ignore your gut. Haley's parents are now advocating for a law in her name, and part of it would require predator and online grooming education in Indiana schools. There's a petition right now that has over 50,000 signatures in support.
And you can catch up on all our coverage on this case at WTHR+. We're following this closely, of course, alongside our sister station in Columbus, Ohio. You can also see any updates online and streaming on demand.
Well, folks, as you can see, having a strong communication relationship with your child, again, is one of our best defenses. And understanding what types of apps, who they're communicating with, is very, very important. These stories that we have here, folks, remain today are very, very important about our devices that we use and technology that we have for the future. Folks, the technology is great. We need to have this to be more productive in our society to move forward, but we need to know that this technology can be weaponized against our communities and our families. Our best defense, folks, is knowledge and information. If you'd like to know more about this and find out about how to protect your family, your friends, and your business from these types of cyber attacks, definitely reach out to me, Mac Jackson Jr. or Dr. Mac Jackson Jr. at Vanderson Cyber Group. You can go to my website at macjacksonjr.com. It's macjacksonjr.com. Folks, I also want you to know that cybersecurity is no longer an IT issue or a business issue. It is a family issue. It is a community issue. Public safety, folks, is ultimately important here. An informed parent, educator, and caregiver plays a vital role in reducing this risk. Find out more. Stay safe, folks. God bless you out there. We'll see you next time. Thank you.